Well, the first moth is in, but where am I? This is Lound Wood, and the first moth that's come in is a pale brindled beauty already, and I've only just switched the light on in it. In fact, it's only just got to full brightness. But this evening, because it's fairly breezy and too breezy to trap on the outside of the wood or at the entrance just inside the wood, I've moved to virtually the centre of Lound Wood where it's sheltered. It's a decent temperature, 9 centigrade coming here, and here comes another pale brindled beauty. So we've got 2 pale brindled beauties around the light already. This could be promising. I'd best finish setting up. We're barely 10 minutes in and pale brindled beauties are continually coming in, mostly from sort of behind me and to the sides, either to left or right. Being aware of what's come in and what's in the leaflet, we're on to at least 7 pale brindled beauties already, and we've only been going a few minutes. Torch Cody's alternella, there's 3 of those in, so we'll see what else is coming in. I'll leave this running, just watch whether you can make them out, the pale brindled beauties, as they sort of come towards the light through the leaf litter. As I say, not everything floods into the light. These aren't noctuids. Well, it's cup of tea time. Anyone want to join me? A little gentle breeze. But it's not cold. And so the usual species in, doing well for pale brindled beauties. In fact, there's another one just coming in, and that looks like it's a spring usher. That makes the total of 4 spring ushers now. 4 Torch Cody's alternella, and they're the only 3 species in so far. You may think, why trap again so soon after trapping here last time? But you need to trap at least once a month. But I'll be trapping here more than once a month, because it's such a long time since, was it 2014 or early 2015, as another spring usher comes in. So it's been a number of years since regularly recorded here. Much has probably changed in terms of the species of moths now. One thing that has changed is the number of spring ushers that there now is. How we struggled for spring usher here, never got it for years. There's 2 to add to the total. But say, the site and its moths, or at least the moths will have changed, the site has stayed exactly the same. What I love about Lound Wood, the management is virtually none. And yet it has such a great species list of moths. And because this place hasn't changed, it'll be interesting to see what species are struggling to survive here, or maybe have died out here. It's going to take a couple of years to determine a good enough species list to get some idea of how moths and the species of moths have changed. That's all part of the fun and the interest. It's nice to compare from year to year, or from decade to decade, once you get old enough. Right, best write these down then. Leave you with a view from the sheet. There's some very nicely marked contrasting spring ushers. There's one there, look. Another one there. Oh, there's a new species for the year. I'll best show you this. It's a dotted border. Yeah, so this is the first dotted border of the year. This is another typical moth of February and March. And again, it's another species where the females are wingless. About the size of a spring usher, just a touch larger really, I suppose. Well, at least the wings are slightly broader, and it has those two darker cross lines going across the wing, and it gains its name from the spotting, or the dots running along this back edge of the forewings and hind wings. I'm going to try and not make this too long a video tonight. We're just approaching the hour mark. 4 species, but a good range of moths, and moths are still coming in. It's mostly spring ushers that are trickling in now. I'll probably give it no longer than an hour and a half. I'm surprised not a chestnut. That is surprising. But we've got one new species for the year in the form of dotted border. And that's looking into the centre of Lound Wood, which is just a little bit down there, which is a good place to trap. Actually, I'll be trapping there over the summer months. So there's a nice contrast in the marked spring usher. The spring ushers that I'm getting here tonight are better marked than those at Sherwood. That isn't a thing in general though, they don't vary from site to site. I'm saying we're up to about 5 or 6 spring ushers, dotted border in, and let's show you a few more. Now here's a pale brindled beauty, but you may think, well, I don't look like the same moth as a normal pale brindled beauty, and that's because this isn't. This is the melanic form. Pale brindled beauties are variable, and you do get this form, which the wings are completely dark grey. The moths are continuing to come in. There's 2 pale brindled beauties on the way in, both on the left and right hand side. They've just come in past me and typically landed short of the sheet, and then it's a case of hopping through the leaf litter. Surprising if you sit away or stand away from the light and the sheet, you get a much better idea quite often of what's coming in. And quite often just how many moths haven't come anywhere near the light. It's alright, it's only me again, spookily lit up. Very mild. Wouldn't feel this mild if I was 50 yards back there on the edge of the wood. One disadvantage of Lound Wood is that it's on top of a hill. Well, here's the point where you access it on. But over the years it has shown what a great place it is to run a moth trap. Being on a hill, it's certainly attracted more than its fair share of migrants in the great migratory year of 2006. Youngsters new to moth trapping, ask your dad about that year. It'll be quite an interesting study, that. What would Bill shout? Does anybody ever trap from the top of a hill? Say like in the Yorkshire Dales? Or especially down south perhaps? Top of some north to south running ridge, run a trap up there, and then someone in the north to south running valley at the side of it, run a trap down there. See what migrants turn up. Are there more migrants flying through the UK at these higher elevated sites? They certainly follow valleys, definitely. 2006, on the edge of Lound Wood, just back there, Dillis and I were able to, while running a trap on the edge of the wood, the field had been harvested, so it was bare soil, and you could see moths coming in about a foot off the ground, foot or 2 foot off the ground, coming in from the southwest, straight towards our little trap. Scarce boarded straw. What a year that was. The other interesting thing about moth trapping, and a lot of you will go, I've seen that, so what I'm about to tell you, is how you can be sat with the trap for 2, 3, 4 hours, and then all of a sudden you get two moths of the same species come walloping in within seconds of each other when they'd had all night to drop in. That happens quite a lot. Get to a certain time and all of a sudden another species will drop in, 2 or 3 of them. Moths certainly arrive, or different species of moths certainly arrive at the light at different times of the night. Quite often your best stuff is from 2 o'clock onwards. Well, it's just coming up to an hour and a half, and I'm quite happy to have had an hour and a half. And so I'm going to start and get things together and pack up, so I can be packed up before 8 o'clock, and these moths, I've got the rest of the night to go about the business. I'd rather, in most cases, do short trapping sessions. It might not seem worth it to some to come so many miles, can't remember what it is, might be 10 miles to Eakring from Warsaw. Doesn't take long, and only just to run the trap for an hour and a half. But I'm happy with the moths I've caught. Say it's given us a snapshot of the species that's out, and I know that spring usher have increased on what they used to be. Always rare here. So we'll start and have a steady pack up, and you can watch the moths flitting around the light. Give us a shout if anything rare comes in.